let's talk about frequently asked questions about CV. One of the most common questions that I usually get is, how lengthy should my CV be? 3 pages, 2 pages, 5 pages. I heard somewhere it should be 1 page. I heard somewhere it should be 3 pages. I heard somewhere, okay, so like there is no right or wrong answer here. Like, because like, it really depends on your experience. So if you're a newly, like if you're a third or fourth year medical student and you haven't had lots of experience in life, and like that's very normal, and like you can have anywhere between maybe 3 to 4 pages, sometimes 2, it really depends. But like, let's say you completed your fellowship or your residency somewhere else outside of Canada, and then you came to Canada, you did a couple of years of research, and you had like tons of publications, and in those 2 years you also attended maybe 10 conferences, and you also did maybe 5 online courses and 2 volunteer work and 1 leadership work. So your CV is going to be around like 7 to 10 pages, right? So it really, it's a very objective. I remember one time I had this student where like, he was like, oh, maybe like it should be 5 pages or maybe it should be 2 pages. Let's remove some experiences. So if you remove experiences, how are you going to explain the gap in your CV, right? So it could be anywhere between 2 pages. I've seen CVs 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 pages. And I've seen CVs 25 pages for people who had the hundreds of publications. And if you had hundreds of publications, you have to put them in your CV. Why did you publish in the first place, right? That's a very important thing. The second most common question I usually get is, how frequently I should update, actually, no, this is not a common question I get. It's an advice from me to you guys. Once you get into residency, keep updating your CV. Do this on a monthly basis. Otherwise, if you're going to update your CV only when you're going to apply to a position or something, you're going to lose lots of, like most of the things you do, it's one, because like you love advocacy, you love volunteering, don't get me wrong, but also you want to build your academic portfolio. So if you don't update your CV frequently, lots of things that you do just going to be unnoticed, and it's going to be forgotten. During your 3rd year of internal medicine residency or 4th or 5th year of surgical residency, where you're going to apply to maybe the subspecialization or something, you're not going to remember what did you do over the last several years, the teaching, the long nights where you had to create PowerPoint slides for the second day teaching and stuff like that. How far back should I go? Okay, so anywhere between around like 4 to 5 years. If it is relevant, you can go further. So let's say you're a medical student, you're applying right now, and your high school years you work at Home Depot. Like adding that experience to your residency CV, it's just like, it's not going to help. But let's say you're a medical student applying right now to residency, and during your undergrad, you went to South Africa or North, or like somewhere in the world, let's say, without mentioning any place. You went somewhere underserved and you helped to build an orphanage, or you helped provide water. Although this is a very old experience, but it's very valuable because it shows your leadership, your initiative, your advocacy. It highlights many CaRMS roles, right? So just use common sense. Go back until like 4 or 5 years, and then if you're going to go back further, like, does this make sense? Does this meet the CaRMS roles? Does this experience serve me and highlight a skill, an opportunity, highlights an experience I had in my life? On the other hand, if you're an international medical graduate with extensive experience, go back for 5 years, and then you can go even back further if you have an experience that helped you to apply, that helps you in the field that you're applying to. Let's say you worked as a family doctor back in your country, and then you work as an internist somewhere else, or vice versa. You work as an internist back in your country, and then you move to another country and you work as a family doctor, and then you came here to Canada and you had some experience in internal medicine and you want to apply to internal medicine again, right? So you worked as an internist maybe 10 years ago and you're applying now for internal medicine. Is it worth mentioning? Yes, it's worth mentioning because it shows that in the beginning you were an internist. You love being an internal medicine doctor, although there is like lots of overlap between internal medicine or family, but this is an example to highlight stuff. CV has the same information as CaRMS, right? Yes, most of the time, because like there is lots of overlap between CaRMS and CV, and that drove me crazy back several years ago, because like I was like I filled the same information in the CaRMS application, and then I had to go to write them in my CV. I was like, are they asking me this twice? Like, what's going on? Yes, it does have. The CV, it comes as a document. The CaRMS, it collects your information as an electronic application, and program directors or programs usually have access to both. Okay. What about the part of observerships? So international medical graduates, they do observerships, not electives. So in CaRMS, there is no place to put your observerships. You can list them in your CV. Usually because like they don't go under electives. Electives means hands-on experience. But that being said, for international medical graduates who are applying, they did observership and they had hands-on experience. As I said earlier, you can mention that, for example, you did observership, but this observership was like working as a physician assistant, taking history, doing a physical exam under medical supervision. You can mention this. You have to gain some clinical experience somewhere, right? At the end of the day. Okay, what do CV reviewers look for? The answer is not here. The answer is in the CaRMS website. Go to each program and read their own description. Most of the programs mention what they look for, but again, this is very variable. It's really program dependent. But in general, like they look for research, publications, observerships, or electives, that something that shows interest in the specialty you're applying for. If you're applying to emergency medicine and you've never done emergency medicine rotation in your life, you can't convince someone you want to do emergency medicine because like you have not experienced it. So that's a very long shot. They look for red flags, like also, for example, if you had some failed courses or like disciplinary actions, that's something that you might need to address in your personal statement or in your interviews. Grammatical errors and spelling errors, very important, believe it or not, like they happen very frequently. So it's important to address grammar and spelling errors. They sometimes look for unique backgrounds, compelling stories. That's from my experience. Because like after the review, like if you read the program description, programs are already telling you that they get hundreds of applicants, anywhere between 600 to 700 applications. So out of this 700 applications, let's say 200 are going to be reviewed, or let's say 100 going to be reviewed. Most of the 100 meets the filtering criteria that the program already set. So most of them become bland. So they look at what makes the person unique, their background, their hobbies, their skills, their interests. So that's why I mentioned earlier, the hobbies or interests is something to make you different from other from other applicants. Okay. You might not think about a passion as a selling feature, but believe me, that passion might help them to remember you. And let's say the person who is like reviewing CVs might have the same passion as you do, so they can you can create some type of connection with them, even if they don't know you in person. Okay, and then like finally, what now that I've written my CV, I'm done. Give it to your friends. Ask your friends to give it a read. Give it to your family members, for example, or someone who has some background. I do help international medical graduates with reviewing their CVs through my small company, CanMD. Actually, it's not small anymore. So we've grown recently a lot, thanks to many people who helped us to grow. If you're a medical student, most of the medical students, most of the medical schools in Canada, they have an office that help medical students to review their CV. Go and ask them, and then ask, like if you are doing a rotation, for example, and you click with one of the staff. This is for medical students, or even for international medical graduate. If you are working in a clinic and you click with one of the staff and they are willing to help you, ask them, like, can you read this CV? Collect feedback, and then eventually you might not accept like all feedback, but like bring down like collect as much as you can, and then sit and think what works for me, what highlights my skills, what I'm going to go for, and always seek help. You need opinions of different people to create a document that is appealing to most of the people, because you can never satisfy anyone with a single document. You can't satisfy 100 program directors with your own CV. There will always be people, they like a style, they don't like a style. And again, remember that the CV, it's only part of your application. It shows part of you. You are more than a CV, you are more than a document. If you are right now watching this course, I'm sure No matter what you have been through, you've been through crazy amount of suffering and crazy stories to be here today, so be proud of that. And congratulations. I hope I was able to help you in this journey. It's a privilege for me every year to help medical students and international medical graduates, because like 5 years ago when I came here, like no one, I knew no one and no one helped me. So I'm doing this as the same way I'm doing it to my earlier self, younger self. Okay, thank you so much for attending this course. I hope you benefit from the course. Please leave me a review if you like the course. If you have any feedback, if you have any questions, my email's in the course, please email me. I'm more than happy to connect with you. And knowing you, over the years I was like connected with many international graduates or medical students, and we became friends. And so when they come to Ottawa, we always go out and do something. I also stay connected with people after they match. Human connection is very important for me. So like I also give advice about like residency. I help them through like simple stuff, how to rent a place, what to look for, what are important things, because like those are very important things I believe in residency and lifestyle that no one told me about. So my goal is to help as many people as possible. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the course. Please leave me a review, and I wish you all the luck in your CaRMS application.